Patterson. So we are going to officially kick off. I am so thrilled to be here with all of you to help you network like a natural, because this is one of the critical business skills that everyone feels nervous and awkward about. There is nobody on earth who feels confident in their ability to walk into a room of strangers with people that they don't know and many times feel like they're the outcast because you see other people who are all engaged in conversation. So if you have ever felt like that awkward fourth grader who moved towns when you went into a networking event, you're not alone. I'm with you and I teach this stuff. Or perhaps you're somebody who didn't even go to a networking event because the thought of being put into that environment just grosses you out. So if you fall into either of those camps, today is for you. And as a reminder, this session is free masterclass for everyone who was one of those early supporters of my new book, Fearless in 5, Your Guide to Building Confidence, Communication, Connection, Control, and Courage. That launched this past week. Today is the last official day of the launch week. That also means it is the last day for you to get the bonuses if you purchase the book today. Those bonuses include, obviously, this workshop that either for those of you who are here live attending or for those of you who weren't able to make it during the live session, but you're watching the recording now. One of the other bonuses that will only come through today is that you will get a free 1 year subscription to my Fearless library, which is in the Flip the Fear community on Substack. And so this is where you can get access to so much content that we've created, whether it's articles, videos, webinars, AI prompts, scripts that you can use for difficult situations. And it's all organized by those 5 fearless fundamentals of confidence, communication, connection, control, and courage. And this is a place where you can, long after today, ask questions, have the opportunity to be a part of a community with other professionals and entrepreneurs like yourselves who want to get more out of life. And it's also where we can keep the conversation going long after today. So that's another benefit of buying the book today if you haven't done it yet. Or if you want to buy a copy for a friend, so they will get the benefits, as well as we're going to be doing a big launch event coming up later this fall when the book becomes widely available everywhere. And so you'll keep an eye out for that, and you will get an invitation to that live class as well. So let's start to dig in during our time that we have here together so that we can make the most of this session. And I always like to find out who is in the session. So just tell me in the chat right now, you can tell us where you're joining from and whether you are a professional, you work for a company, or if you're a founder, if you're an entrepreneur, because there's very different needs for networking for each of those areas. So would love to see where everybody here is joining us from so that we can make the most of our time together and tailor everything so it will be as valuable as possible for each and every one of you. And so let's see what we see in the chat so far. I am seeing that we've got Nitin is joining us from Philadelphia, and Nitin has been one of those students who joined, I think, every single AI session we did last week. So Nitin, we're thrilled to have you back. Welcome, Stephanie in Pittsburgh. Great to see that you are here as well. Antonia, another frequent member of the workshops that we led last week. It's great to see you back. We've got Toby back. We've got Yeti, who is from New Jersey and a CPA. And I see that we have Allison Patterson here as well. So welcome to everyone who shared the information and keep the information coming. Like Lorraine, it's so great to know that you are here as well. And we're thrilled that, that you are. And so today we're going to be focusing on how to network like a natural. And in the session that we led last week, we asked everybody who had attended, what is the hardest part of networking for you? And it's probably not a shock to see some of the things that you see here in this word cloud. Small talk, feeling like you're going to get rejected, feeling like you're a phony, not having confidence. How do you even get started? Where do you find the time to do this? Or, as a lot of people said, everything. And then, of course, authenticity is something we all deal with when it comes to networking. And so these are many of the topics that we're going to be covering off in today's masterclass. So tell me, uh, take a moment, and again, through Mentimeter, you can weigh in on how often do you network using the following methods. So, are you regularly attending networking events or conferences? Are you regularly posting on LinkedIn? Or how about, do you ask friends and colleagues or anyone in your network, it could even be family, for introductions to people that you want to build a relationship with? And so you can take a moment here. And as I had mentioned, part of why I love using this tool is it's totally anonymous. And you can see all those answers in real time. And as a reminder, at any point during the session, you'll be able to ask questions. And then towards the end, we'll give you all time to put in any of those questions you didn't ask and then vote up the ones that are most important for you to see answered so that we can make this as relevant as possible for each and every one of you. Okay, with more than half of you responding so far, I see that it looks like attending networking events or conferences and asking for those introductions are some things that you're doing somewhat, maybe occasionally, not on a regular basis. And posting on LinkedIn is one of those areas where you're barely doing these behaviors. So, we're going to show you some easy ways that you can start doing all of these things so that when you do go to a networking event or to a conference, it will become that much easier for you to start building relationships before you ever even walk in the door. So you're going to feel that much more comfortable from the first moment that you walk in. And as I had mentioned, you can ask those questions at any point throughout the time that we have here today. And we are going to officially get kicked off to talk about why networking is so critical. Research from Harvard Business Review shows that people who are more likely to invest time in networking uncover more business opportunities. They develop broader and deeper knowledge. They have an improved capacity to innovate, faster advancement, and who doesn't want to move up faster the way that you deserve? They end up with greater status and authority. And most importantly, they get more job satisfaction. And so that's why we're going to talk about some tools for next level networking. And we're going to start with those events because this is an opportunity for you to build relationships not only with prospective partners or customers or clients, but also very importantly with potential mentors and sponsors. These are those people who can advocate for you when you're not in the room. They're the ones who can connect you to people that can make your dreams a reality. And so, what I always suggest is before you go to any type of a networking event or conference, start off by researching the speakers and leaders. And I want us to be able to workshop some of this in real time so you'll see how easy and valuable this will be for you. So, do we have anybody who's comfortable enough that has an event coming up in, let's say, the next month or so that they plan on attending that we can go through this step by step and you can see how easy it will be for you? So, who wants to be my willing participant who's going to be attending any type of conference or event that's coming up? Do I have any volunteers? I hate volunteering people.
Jen, I'm gonna step up because I actually have a legitimate networking event this coming Thursday evening in New York City. And I go to a lot of these, but I can always use more advice. So you can use me.
Okay, fantastic. And that is Toby who is joining us. So, Toby, what I'm going to ask you is to tell me the name of the networking event that you're going to.
Sure. It's through a group called Soapbox Women. It was actually a networking women's group that was founded in Los Angeles, and there's a New York contingent of this group now, and it's actually their 2-year anniversary on Thursday evening. So that is the event.
Okay, so as you can see here, I just used a AI to get us started to say, help me analyze the upcoming event for Soapbox Women for their New York City event. Now, that's one way you could do it using AI. At the same time, what we can do is also go online and look at Soapbox Women and NYC August and look to see if there's an agenda of what's going to be happening. Okay, so I go here and I look at what are the events that are coming up, upcoming events, and I see that they're turning two. And so as I come here, I see there's only the ability to RSVP. They're not really telling me much, if anything, about what's going to happen at the event. And so this is a reminder for me that there isn't a clear agenda. So then this is one of those examples where I might say, let me also see what other upcoming events are coming up beyond this event in August. Okay, so there's going to be a mentorship event that's coming up in September. Well, if I'm somebody that wants to either find a mentor or I want to be a mentor, because research also shows that it will help develop my strategic thinking and problem solving, and I'll build more confidence in things I want to do if I'm helping somebody else solve those problems as their mentor. Now, knowing that this is going to be coming up as well, that's something we're going to keep in mind as to how we can use that as well. Okay, so this is saying it doesn't necessarily know who is going to be speaking because it doesn't announce that, but it does say that Big Star is the venue host right here, and it's being promoted by some of the leaders, including Sun Quan and Rochelle Honor. Okay, so this is an example where you can say, create a post for me on why and how I'm excited to attend, and that I also, and I'm going to show you a trick now to also save us some time, which is to dictate in, which is by using the dictate icon that you see at the bottom of that prompt box. And so now that it's listening in, I am going to say that I want you to create a social media post for me that I could use to say that I am going to be attending this event. And I'm also looking forward to the mentorship coming up or the mentorship event coming up in September, because I am looking to not only find some new mentors and sponsors, but I want to make sure that I can mentor the next generation. And I want to specifically call out the sponsor of the event, Big Star, who is the host, and any of their leaders, maybe their CEO or COO, as well as the Soapbox New York City leaders of Sun Quan and Rochelle Honor, and then end it with a call to action that anybody else who's going to attend this event, I'd love to connect in advance so that we can not feel like awkward fourth graders walking into the event together, and we can plan how we can make the most of our time together, as well as if anybody else is interested in coming with me to the event, that they should reach out and let me know. So we're going to send that in there. And this is an example of what each and every one of you can do. And you don't have to use AI. If you hate AI or you're uncomfortable with it, well, if you're uncomfortable with it, the first thing you need to do is watch the workshop I did last week on connections and how to use AI to help with networking. But if for some reason you're against it for ethical reasons or a negative impact it's making in your community based on data centers and water usage, you can just write this out yourself. But what you see is the concept of posting in advance to spread the word that you're attending. And you always want to make sure that you are tagging the organization, the hosts of the event, and any speakers involved. And then if you close it out with an open-ended question and call to action to say, who else will be there? I'd love to connect in advance. Maybe we can meet for a short coffee or cocktail beforehand so that we can walk into the event together and get to know each other a little bit in advance. Or if you've never been here and you want to learn more about it, reach out to me. And so this is a very easy way. And as you can see, you could use this as your first draft and then be able to post that. And you want to do it in advance. So for you, Toby, I would say post something like this today if you can. That way you're giving people a day or two before the event to reach out to you or to even look up the Soapbox calendar and say, oh, I want to go to that event as well. And then certainly to get some visibility with the organizers of the event as well as with the folks who are going to be sponsoring it. So is this helpful for you, Toby, to help you prepare for the event that you have coming up this week?
Absolutely. Because, again, being able to amplify the fact that I'm going and sort of generate some, introductions in advance, clearly make the whole thing a little more comfortable and look forward to it a little more too, because you have a partner in crime.
Wonderful. Well, I am so happy to hear that this is helpful for you. And I see that Nitin had said in the chat that he's going to be attending the DA4S conference coming up next week as well. Guess who else will be there? Little old me. That's how Nitin and I met. And so I'm going to give you some examples too of what you can do specifically for that coming up, Nitin. So stay tuned. So this is one of those ways if you were going to an event where there are speakers that will be there or leaders that you know of. You can also see, okay, well, maybe Toby doesn't already have a relationship with those two women who are the organizers of the event, or maybe she doesn't know anyone who is at the organization that's hosting the event. So she can go onto LinkedIn and look up those people. And then once she sees who they are, the first thing she could and should do is see, do we have any mutual connections? Because for most people nowadays, you will have some mutual connection with that person that you may want to connect with. And there's a trick. If you don't have a mutual connection, I'm going to show you what you can do. But let's say that you do. You can first off reach out to the person who you see on that list who's you're closest with and just send them a short note and say, hey, I'm going to this event next week. I saw that your connection so and so will be speaking at the event or is hosting the event or is an organizer for the event. So I thought you might like information about it if you don't already have it planned on your calendar to go. If you're interested in going, let's go together. Oh, and by the way, since I'm definitely going, would you be so kind as to make an introduction for me to Sabrina, who will be speaking at the event? Or you could say, if you're going to the event, would you be so kind as to introduce me in person when we get there? Or if it's somebody who doesn't use LinkedIn a lot, you can even draft an email that they can send to that person. So you're making it really easy for them to just copy and paste and connect the two of you. So these are some of the really simple ways that you can do that. But I'm going to show you another trick in terms of how you can get more closely connected to that person in case you don't have any mutual connections and you want to send them a connect invite. So let's say you went on to LinkedIn and let's think of Nitin. Can you, or actually here, I'm going to show you as an example exactly what you could do here. So Nitin said that he's going to be going to the DA4S conference. There you go, DA4S Agenda 2026. And we are going to look for the West Coast event because that's what's coming up. And then once we take a look at that agenda, we can see that there are going to be all these different things that are happening. And what I can do is look for the keynote speakers. And when I do that, I see that The keynote speakers are going to be Mark Schulman and Heather Kreider. So let's say I go online and I see if, actually, let's try. I'm actually could be connected with Mark already because we're both certified speaking professionals. Heather is somebody I might not be connected with in any way. So what I would do if I was Nitin is I would go into LinkedIn and I would search on Heather. And let's see, once we do that, I see, okay, here's Heather. And as it stands right now, we don't have any direct connections, or we're not directly connected. We're not first level connected. She's not we have no relationship to each other. In my case, I already have a few mutual connections, but I'm going to show you the way that you can get more closely connected. And that is what I would do is I would scroll all the way down to the bottom of her um, LinkedIn profile. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm scrolling all the way to the bottom. And then when I'm there, I click on groups. Once I see groups, I see, oh, she is part of a networking group called One Degree of Separation Quarterly Networking Events and Lean Six Sigma. Well, are any of those groups relevant for me, or in your case, Nitin, for you? If one was, you might say, you know what? I am always looking to be a part of networking events, especially with other keynote speakers, which she would want, or she is in this case. And so I would just join the group. And now, if I'm accepted to the group, and I'll get a request, and generally they'll send you a short form why you would explain why you'd be interested in joining the group. I don't think I've ever been rejected from a group as long as there's a real valid reason why I would try to join, then we are now going to become closer level connections because we are members of the same group. And that allows you that even if you didn't have any mutual connections, you're going to have the ability to send an invite directly to her that you might not have had if you didn't have, let's say, if you were third level connections or further apart than that. Now, one trick for this is to make sure that you're always sending a note. So you want to hit add a note when you are reaching out to somebody in LinkedIn. Okay. Now, here's another trick that you can use. There are shortcuts in your keyboard if you are an Apple user, and there are many other different platforms out there where you can create a short keyword that then expands to a much longer word or message that you can use in these situations. So I've created one for LinkedIn connection invites. You can do the same exact thing. You would go in, if you're an Apple user, you'd go into your settings, you'd go to keyword, and then you go to text replacement. Once you do that, then in this case, I'm going to show you what my text replacement looks like for LinkedIn. So for me, I type in MILI, meaning my LinkedIn. So that is, first of all, that is my LinkedIn address. So, like, for example, I could use that one, which is a shorter one, that I would put in here so that anytime you're in any type of a online networking experience, you can put that in there and it makes it really easy for people to connect with you. Alternatively, in my case, I could put in, I believe this is my, no, I can't remember what I put in. It's something like connect LinkedIn. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But what I will show you is another thing that you can do alternatively, which is you can create your own template that you then customize for each of those outreach that you're doing. So, like for me, I like to use Apple Notes as where I will put any of those LinkedIn Connect invites so that it's really easy for me to tailor it as we are going. And so I'll share an example with you of what one of my LinkedIn Connect invites might look like. And you could see like, let's see, we'll find. Trying to find one of the many that I have here. And so what you would do is essentially just, in this case, as I'll show you, um, here's what it would look like. And what I do is I mark for myself what are the places I want to make sure that I customize. Now, this is an example of a longer one that I did when I was already connected with someone. So you have to remember that you only have 300 characters that you can use. So then what I do is whenever I create these types of LinkedIn connects, I always add into the template an XXXX. And that way I can easily look at it and say, what are all of the places that I need to tailor so that this is more customized? What you can also do is then go into your favorite AI platform and say, tailor my LinkedIn Connect invite for like in this case, let's say it was for Josh Norton, for Toby, if that's what you wanted to do. And then it would take the LinkedIn invite that you create that's a template and that you tell your AI platform to save, and it will tailor it immediately for you. Okay, so as you can see here, it took mine and instantly said, I'm attending the celebration at Big Star on Thursday, and I wanted to connect in advance. And now you can see just how quick and easy it is for you to reach out to those critical people that you want to build relationships with, which is part of the reason why you are going to these kinds of events. So think about what events you could or should be going to. If you don't have anything that's coming up in the near future, you'll definitely want to watch last week's virtual workshop. We have the recording for you on how to use AI from a networking perspective, because you'll see exactly how you can find the industry associations, organizations, conferences, and events that are relevant for you, both in your own hometown as well as national organizations that you could and should become a part of. So definitely check that out. And so by taking this time to promote the fact that you'll be attending the event in advance on whichever social media platforms for you will help you become a bit of a magnet. People start to recognize who you are, you can share your point of view, and you'll be able to gain visibility, especially if you also comment on any event posts that are being created by the event organizers. So in this case, if I was Toby, I would go and look to see, did Soapbox, who I should be following, post any announcements about the event coming up? If they do, I would then go on there to that post and write, I'm so excited to attend the event coming up next week, as well as to hopefully find some new mentors and people I can mentor at the event coming up in September as well, or something like that. And this gives you a chance to be a part of the conversation and gain that visibility before you ever even walk into the room and build those relationships. Now, there's one more thing that you can do. So we talked about that asking that mutual connection for an introduction to somebody that you want to meet. So we already talked about how you can do that and create that personalized LinkedIn invite for them. But what you can also do is game plan with your allies who may be going. So, for example, Toby, in your case, do you have anyone that you know of who's going to the Soapbox event?
Yes, I do. I have several friends who are coming.
Okay, great. So that is an opportunity for you to reach out to them in advance and say, let's make the most of our time together at this event this week. Tell me one person or one type of person you would like to meet at the event, and I'll share with you one person or one type of person that I would like to meet. And that way, before we walk in the room, we might even be able to introduce each other to these folks beforehand through LinkedIn or email or whatever it might be. Or when we're in the room and we start meeting people, let's say Toby, who is a podcast producer, says, I would really love to meet someone who says that they're thinking about launching a podcast. Or I'd really like to meet somebody who is a thought leader or a business owner who has a point of view and who should be building their own podcast. Well, now, if Toby told me that and we're at the event together, as I start chatting with people and they tell me who they are, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what? I know somebody you should meet. Come here. I'm going to introduce you to my friend Toby. She might be able to help you because you should be starting a podcast. Okay. And this is one of those ways you make attending these events that much more powerful for you. So you get introductions to the people that can help accelerate your growth and your success. So, Toby, do you think you could do that? You think you could reach out even to just one of those people you know who may be attending?
Absolutely. And I would like to say that as a amateur networker that I have employed a lot of the skills that you're talking about today. Also, so, but this is reinforcing that I'm doing the right thing. So I appreciate that.
Awesome. And sometimes, even when we do the right things, we get so busy with things or so not busy with trying to unwind and relax because it's August and summer holiday time for so many of us that you may forget to do some of these things. And so, one other trick that you can do is anytime you sign up for an event that you plan on attending, put a calendar appointment on your own calendar for 1 week prior to say, post on social media about the event or plan my outreach strategy for the event coming up next week. And that way it's less likely to slip through the cracks. Okay, now let's talk about how you can network when you are at an event. So, one of the easiest things to do is to stand out when you are at an event where there is content and programming and speakers. And you can become a magnet for everyone in that room to want to approach you rather than you trying to chase people down or walk into a room and not even know who you should talk to because you can't tell just based on their name on their name badge or their lanyard. So, what I always recommend doing is when you are sitting in a session, and this is a perfect example for Nitin, who's going to the DA4S conference where there will be a number of different workshops, there will be keynotes, there will be panels. And so, what Nitin can do, he can first off think about what are the topics that are going to be most relevant for his business and what he does. Okay, and we're going to work through this together in real time. And so let's bring back up our dandy friend here, ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you what this would look like. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, we're going to start a new chat by clicking this up here. And we're going to say, let's do it this way. I'll dictate in again. I am delivering a workshop right now, and I have Nitin Makdani in the workshop who has a marketing technology practice called Meklan Digital, who will be attending the DA4S West Coast Conference. Can you analyze the upcoming agenda for that conference? See which session where there will be speakers or keynotes or panels that will be most closely tied to what work he does and his organization, and identify the top speakers that he should try and connect with, along with the specific topics or abstracts, write-ups of those sessions. Oh, come on. It just gave me a yeah. Well, we're going to try this one more time because this is real life and this is how it works, folks. And this is why I say perfection is the enemy. So we're going to say, do an analysis of the DA4S conference and identify any sessions that would be relevant for Nitin Makdani, who has a digital marketing technology business called Meklan Digital. Which are the sessions? What are the overviews of them? And who are the speakers? There we go. And so now what this will do is it will pull up that agenda. And of course, I could have copied and pasted the agenda page in there to make it even easier for AI to help me along the way. Or as it's thinking, I could also just go to the event itself and I go back to the event and I look at this is the West Coast Conference, and I go to the agenda and I see if there's anything here that might be really relevant for him. And it looks like there is a session, and we'll go into the detailed agenda here. And when we do that, we see, okay, this isn't a more detailed version. That would be nice. But here, there is a session called Win the Room, the message that opens doors. Okay, so I would remember that and I'll go back to the agenda and I'll look at the sessions and speakers. So this is the other place I could see what's happening. And this might be where I say, okay, I'm going to look for any of those sessions that might be relevant for me, or maybe it's not even relevant for my business. It might be that it's a session that features someone that I want to build a relationship with. So let's say Nitin says, ooh, you know what? Takeda and Joyce Eggers is a company I want to work with, and I want to build a relationship with Joyce. So it's important for me that I'm going to this session. And when I do, I want to make sure that I'm going to be prepared to ask some smart questions as soon as the session wraps up. Okay, so this is an example. Before he even walks into the event, he can go into AI or just use his own brain, whichever feels more likely or more comfortable for him. And this is an example. It's actually showing him which are the most important events that Nitin should be attending. So as you can see, these are his highest priority sessions. And you could be doing this for yourself in real time right now, following along with us. It will tell him all the speakers who are going to be there. And then it even tells him which corporate connections he could and should want to make when he goes to their roundtables, which is a chance for him to pitch his business. Now, let's say he wants to create some questions in advance. And so we could say, create a few smart questions I can have ready to ask at this session. And then I copy and paste in the one where Joyce was going to be one of the speakers because he wants to build that relationship with her and the team at Takeda. And so now here's some questions. And it's even going to give you recommended a number of recommended questions you can ask, as well as the best one to ask. And so when you are then in the session, you'll have some thought starters in case you get a little bit nervous ahead of time, and you can keep those ready to go on your phone in advance. Or what you can do is, as you're sitting there in real time and hearing what everybody has to say, you can start taking some notes during the session and then craft your own strategic question as you hear the messages that people are sharing. And then you can use this structure so that you'll be a magnet in the moment. And the structure could be, you start off by saying your name and your company, you thank them, you mention one insightful point that you found really valuable. You can even then share how your company is focused on X, Y, or Z, or you've done some work with this or that, and then you turn it into the question. Okay, so that could look something like this if it was for me. Hi, I'm Jen Willie from Wet Cement. Thank you for such a thought-provoking session. I loved what you said about blah, blah, blah. You know, in our work at Wet Cement, we've seen that too, and we've even found X, Y, or Z in some of the work we've done. How do you see that affecting your business, or how do you see that affecting the industry in the future? So now every single person in that room knows who I am, what I do, and that I already have some knowledge that's helpful about this topic that they may want as well. And I will tell you that every time I've ever deployed this strategy at an event, at least one person, at least will come up and talk to me about, oh, I heard you ask this question in that session. I wanted to meet you, or I had more questions for you about X, Y, and Z. And this makes it even easier to network because you're not chasing anybody down anymore. I've even had, in many cases, the panelists come up and approach me afterwards and say, oh, I wanted to find out more about what you said about X, Y, or Z. My only note to you is keep your sales pitch in there of when you're talking about yourself and the knowledge you have or the experience you have with this topic or your own proprietary insights. Keep it to 1 sentence or 5 seconds max. You don't want this to feel like a sales pitch. You just want to very gently and elegantly weave in there that you're an expert in this area and you have some valuable information. Okay, with about 15 minutes to go, we are going to finish off with developing your elevator pitch. Because this is one of the things, as we saw from the previous feedback, that being able to introduce yourself and start the conversation can be the toughest part of all of it. And so in this case, we are going to talk about a very simple structure you can use for any networking event. And once you create the structure, then you can even use AI or your own brain to help you create different versions of it. A 15-second version, a 30-second, a 60-second, a 90-second. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to start off with a hook. I'm not talking about a Captain Hook. I'm talking something that's going to grab their attention and create connection and where you can learn something about them so you'll know how to tailor how you're introducing yourself. And so this could look something like any of the things that you see here. I love connecting with other entrepreneurs who have done something great in our community. Tell me about what brings you here. That would be great if you were attending an event for small businesses or a Chamber of Commerce type of event. That would even be relevant for Nitin, going to the DA4S event, where there will be lots of other suppliers that are small and medium-sized businesses that focus in healthcare. Again, if you were a Chamber of Commerce event, for an example, these events always remind me that business is about relationships. So what inspired you to get involved here? Or it could be something like, I feel like the best part is hearing real stories from real people. So what got you started? What made you start your business? Right. So immediately you're sharing a tiny bit about what you think is interesting or what you value. And then you're immediately turning it back to them to hook them in and get them talking a little bit. Okay. And this is the part so many people forget about when they think about their elevator pitch. They're always just focused on how am I going to talk about myself? Okay. So you can start with something as simple as that. Then the second step, and follow along with me here. As we're doing this, take a minute and write out for yourself what could be, based on the event you should be going to in the next month or so, what could be a way that feels genuine and authentic to you that you could say why you're there and then get the other person talking about why they are attending the event. Okay, so what could that look like for you? After you do that first step, this is where you want to make sure that you're introducing yourself by sharing who you are and what you do. And so this could look something like we have a child psychologist who's here joining us today. It could be, hi, I am Allison Patterson, and I help kids and their parents thrive at school and in life as a child psychologist in my own private practice in New York City. Okay, so this is a way that you're not starting off with some big title. You're starting off with how you help people or who you help or something that anybody can understand if they don't understand what your title is. Here's another example. If somebody was to work at a bank or in finance, it could say, hi, I'm Jake, and I help individuals and businesses take control of their financial future in my role as the branch manager of X, Y, and Z Bank. Okay, so immediately, if I don't know what a branch manager is or does, and you just start off by saying, "Hi, I'm Josh, and I'm the branch manager at XYZ Bank," I might be thinking, "I have no idea what that means. I don't even know how to respond to you and how we should start the conversation." But now that I know that you're somebody that helps people like me take control of their financial future, boom, now I can start to think about how might I talk to you? What questions might I have for you? So, what does that look like for you? How can you get comfortable saying, "My name is this, and I help such and such in my role as this"? And I'll tell you part of why this is so important. We did a networking workshop like this for a large biotech firm. And there was somebody who introduced themselves, and we looked up within their company directory how many people in that organization had the same type of title, and there were dozens. Okay. So nobody knows exactly where that person fits into the organization or what specific part of that title of being a category manager, what that would mean for them. And then if you're not somebody with that title, most people might not even know what a category manager is or does. But people don't want to look stupid, so they're not going to ask you. They're just going to nod and shake their head. "Oh, that's very interesting. Oh, yes, thank you very much. Oh, great. Okay, great. I'm going to go refill my cup now, or I'm going to go to the bathroom now," or whatever it might be. So you want to make sure that you start off with what you do and who you help. And then you can take it a little bit further. How you help them, so not just who, and why it matters. And so the structure you can use that makes it really easy for people to glom on to you and understand what their follow-up question should be is whether it's helping this person or that person or people dealing with these challenges, people who have these pains. My goal is to, and then you share what the target audience is, what their goal is. So in this case, it may be something, and I'm just going to take an example here of what this could look like for the child psychologist. It could say whether it's helping neurotypical children manage their feelings and triggers, or helping their parents providing strategies for success. My goal is always to help them get where they want to go. Okay, so now they have even a clearer picture, and it only took one more sentence to explain that. Okay, using the example of somebody who works in finance or at a bank, whether it's helping home buyers navigating mortgage options, or supporting business owners with financing strategies, or making banking easier for anyone, my goal is always to provide guidance tailored to each customer's needs. Okay, so now what you're also doing is it's like a multiple choice or a choose your own destination. Because if I am a home buyer, I'm going to say, "Oh, well, actually, I am a home buyer right now." Or if I'm a business owner, I'll say, "I'm a business owner. I haven't even thought about financing strategies. Tell me more about that." Okay, so this is how you can very quickly and easily explain who you are and get real, genuine conversations going. And this last piece of injecting your passions and your personality is the real trick to make it different. You want to share what makes you memorable because we want to do business with people and certainly with people that we like and we connect with. So I always say by adding in just one short thing about who you are as a person, it builds instant trust and rapport. Here's an example. When I'm not working, you'll find me on the golf course, at Soul Cycle, busy as the treasurer of the Parent Teacher Association, cheering for my kids' high school team, cheering for my alma mater. Alma mater. That was my Staten Island voice coming out. It could be that I am a Mets fan or a Bills fan, and it gives you a way to keep the conversation going and create that connection. It might even create a little fun rivalry if you have different teams that you're cheering for along the way. And so this is, again, that way that you build that trust and rapport. So think about you. What is it that you love to do when you're not at an event? And that you think you could connect with people on in interesting ways. You could also always do something that's very timely. So let's say if Toby was going to that event this week, and over the weekend, she'll be going out to the Hamptons. She could say, and when I'm not at networking events like this or helping produce podcasts, I'm going to be doing things that I love, like going to the Hamptons this weekend so that I can enjoy some sunshine with some friends. I love the beach. And then if the other person connects with that, that's going to be an instant way to build that trust and rapport. And then as soon as you go through those really only 3 sentences that are about yourself, because you started off with that hook, getting them to talk, then you close with another question. And this is a call to action or an invitation so that you can learn even more about them. You turn it back over to them. So this is where you could say something like, I love what I do because I get to help people meet their goals. I'm curious, what's exciting for you right now? Or what's a goal you're working on right now? Or anything else that feels genuine and authentic to you. So I'm going to stop here for a moment. And I want to remind you that if you take just 2 minutes to walk through these steps ahead of any type of an environment that you're going into where you're going to need to introduce yourself to a stranger, it is going to make your life so much easier. Okay, the final things we're going to finish off here, as we talked about earlier, never try and go to an event alone. Pair up, and then you can welcome anyone you see standing alone. If you are by yourself because you couldn't find anyone, who should you approach? Think about it. Would you say somebody else standing alone, a group of 2, a group of 3, a large group? Well, I'll tell you. The answer is first and foremost, you want to walk up to somebody else who is by themselves. But if you don't see anybody else standing alone, you want to walk up to a group of 3. Avoid introducing yourself to 2 people talking because they might be talking about something that's confidential or sensitive or intimate, and you don't want to try and inject yourself into that conversation. And then finally, here are some questions that should be your go-tos that you are ready to ask in any environment you go to. So which speaker did you like best and why? That's always my favorite because then you will learn what the other person cares about. You'll also get some new insight at the same time because maybe you weren't in that session. And now you'll learn what was the most valuable part about it. What did you get out of the session? What do you wish you learned more about? This way, you'll see what they care about. You might be able to follow up saying, oh, I read an interesting article on that, and I'm going to send that to you afterwards. Which session made the biggest impact on you? Or what will you do differently tomorrow based on today? And again, these are all easy questions that you don't even have to worry about tailoring, that you could use in any environment that will get people authentically sharing what they care about, what they learn, and what they want to learn more of. So I know that we had covered a lot together in this hour, and I want to see if we have any questions from you. And I will let you know that we're going to be I'm going to be launching my new Flip the Fear podcast coming this fall. So that'll be another new way to help you on your journey. I will be sharing even more in the podcast with a special series on networking specifically of what you can do. So you'll want to make sure that you keep an eye out for that. And that will be the Flip the Fear podcast. And the incredible producer, Toby, who joined us today, will be helping me with that. So I am
Right, everybody stay tuned. Flip the Fear podcast. It's going to be really wonderful and an extension of all Jen's amazing advice.
Well, thank you very much, Toby, and for all of your help with that. And so let's take a look at what questions we have here. So the first question is, suggest some handy tips for networking and conversation starters in event for someone who is new to the country, has a different accent despite good command on English. Okay, so you saw some of those that I had just put up there. Um, the other thing that you can do is go to the Flip the Fear Substack, which I will put into the chat again here for us. And I will also pull up on the screen for us one more time. And that will be, we will also be sharing a handout or an article coming up that you could copy and paste and save for yourself on ways that you can spark conversation in any different type of an environment. And so I'm going to add that to our Zoom chat right now. You can also put any questions you might have into the chat. And so this is how you'll be able to get even more help and support in the days and weeks ahead as it relates to that. Okay, let's see what other questions we had that had come up in the Menti. I see that the next one that we have is, I often find myself alone in a group setting as you do not have to connect with many conversations backgrounds. So I'm assuming that you're saying there that this is a situation where you're standing on your own, you don't already have those relationships, and this is that perfect opportunity to walk up to somebody else standing by themselves. And you can be real and genuine and start off by saying, "Oh, isn't it so awkward networking and walking into a room like this by yourself?" And then go into your elevator pitch. So, isn't it so? Don't you feel like an awkward fourth grader? Let's make sure we stop feeling like that. I'm Jen. It's so nice to meet you. Oh, what brought you here today? What did you find most valuable? And then they start talking, and then you go further into your elevator pitch with those few different questions and information about what you do, who you help, and how you do that, and then get them talking even more. So I want to see if there's any other questions. Feel free to use your emoji to raise your hand or raise your actual hand, since I don't see any other questions in here that haven't been answered just yet. So we'll stop sharing there. And I'll look to see if we have any other questions or scenarios where you have specific challenges that you'd like me to help you with. And if we don't have any takers, that is quite all right. I want to remind you, if you haven't done it already, don't forget that you will want to check out Flip the Fear. That's where you'll be able to find the recording of today's session. And Yeti, I see you have your hand raised, so I'll come back to you. This is where you'll also find AI prompt libraries and so much more. So this will all be available for you in Substack. And when we do launch the Flip the Fear podcast, you'll be able to find out about that here. Of course, if you haven't bought your copy of Fearless in 5 yet, or bought a copy for a friend, a colleague, or anybody that you care about who could use some help to fear less and grow more at work and in life, please don't forget to get them a copy as well. And now let me turn back to Yeti, who has her hand raised with a question. Oh, we need you to
Jen,
come off of
hi.
mute. Okay, there we go.
Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for this. I find that when you show the people utilizing AI to generate that one post on LinkedIn about your excitement to go to a networking event, I just have a question on that. I am not sure what is your take, because just now you said tag the event organizer, tag the people who will be speaking. But if you don't know them yet, would it be awkward to tag them?
Not at all. People love getting visibility in social media. So if I am at a speaker at an event and somebody tags me, I'm happy about it because now that means more people are going to see that I'm speaking at this event. There's also somewhat of an unwritten rule that when you are a keynote speaker or a panelist, that you expect that people will be posting about the event. And so it's not awkward for them at all. If anything, they'll probably be that much more excited about getting a chance to meet you because you are one of their supporters who are helping to extend their visibility for being a part of the event.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So glad this has been helpful for you.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Terrific. Any final last questions? Okay, well then in that case, I am going to say we're going to stop the recording here. And so for those of you who have been watching the recording, thank you for being here. And we look forward to seeing you in the Flip the Fear community, as well as joining the